Hola,
Hola,
¿cómo está?
muy bien, ¿y usted?
Ujú, muy bien, muy bien. ¿Cómo se llama?
Mi nombre es Yasmin
Mucho gusto.
Moctezuma, igualmente.
Me llamo Jeffrey. Um, ¿Naciste en los Estados Unidos?
Sí, nací en el estado de New Jersey, la ciudad Morristown.
Oh, bueno. Um, ¿Dónde creciste?
Ah, crecí en Moultrie, Georgia.
A mí también.
Asombrante.
Um, ¿A dónde vas? ¿A la escuela o al trabajo?
Um, estudio en ABAC, Tifton, Georgia, y trabajo en Regional Therapy Services.
Um, ¿Hablas español con tu familia a su casa?
Sí, hablamos mucho español, 90% español, 10% inglés.
Um, ¿Todo tu familia habló en español?
Um, la mayoría.
Oh, sí, sí, sí. Um, ¿Eres mexicana? ¿O de mexicana? De México.
Sí, soy mexicano. Mexicano americano.
Sí, sí. ¿Cuáles son tus partes favoritas de la cultura americana?
Um, mi favorito parte, mi favorita parte de la cultura hispana sería la forma en que los hispanos vivimos cada día. Um, mi favorita parte de la cultura también sería este, las fiestas y celebraciones.
¿Te gustas la música o la comida?
Sí, me encantan los tacos.
Sí, sí, sí. A mí también. ¿Y otras comidas?
Sí, el pozole y el mole. Um, también me encanta la música mexicana, como la salsa.
Sí, sí, sí. Um,
¿A ti te gusta la comida mexicana?
Oh, sí, sí, sí. Me gusta la comida mexicana, like, todo, la comida. Me gusta tacos, me gusta enchiladas, um, me gusta pollo frito, me gusta um, todo, la comida mexicana. Um, hmm. ¿Cómo crees que la cultura mexicana y la cultura de Estados Unidos diferentes,
Um,
diferencias?
lo he, en los últimos años lo he podido ver un poco más. Este, mi novio es americano y yo soy hispana. Y hay mucha diferencia. Um, los hispanos somos más trabajadores y luchadores, y los americanos también lo son, pero ellos son un poco más relajados y um, un poco diferente en la forma de cómo son relacionados con la familia. Por ejemplo, los hispanos somos más como unidos, um, somos más, como hay mucho apoyo juntos. Y los americanos o sí, este, eh, como independientes.
Sí, sí, sí. Sí. ¿Tú vas a iglesia?
Sí,
Ah, sí. ¿Iglesia es católica o diferente?
cuando era chiquita era católica, pero ahora soy cristiana.
¿Tu novio vas a la iglesia también?
Sí, él va conmigo a la iglesia conmigo y a veces vamos a su iglesia americana.
Um, ¿Tu familia es católica o es diferente cristiano?
Um, 10% católico, 5% no cree en nada y 85% cristiano.
Sí, sí, sí. Um, ¿Qué significa ser latino o latina en los Estados Unidos?
Um, Ser latino en los Estados Unidos tiene muchas diferentes significados. Por ejemplo, este, todo es un poco diferente para cada hispano. Hay unos que son ciudadanos de aquí y la vida es un poco más fácil para ellos. Otros son inmigrantes y la vida es un poco más difícil. Pero sobre todo, yo creo que el significado de un latino en los Estados Unidos es un luchador para una vida mejor.
Um, Ser latino en los Estados Unidos es difícil.
Sí lo puede ser. Hay muchos hispanos en este país, los Estados Unidos, que enfrentan mucha discriminación por ser ilegales, por ser ilegales. Um, Hay mucho racismo y a veces la cultura hispana um, no se puede defender por no saber el idioma. Y um, es bien difícil para cada día poder sobrevivir a veces porque um, me imagino que si tú o alguien en tu familia va a un país totalmente diferente lenguaje, se le haría un poco difícil tratar de comunicarse con personas que son de aquí. Entonces, um, también por no tener los documentos requisitados para tener un buen trabajo, es difícil para un latino porque no tienen un Social Security para tener un trabajo y en esa forma es la vida difícil para los hispanos. Um, pero sobre todo, yo admiro, no solo porque yo soy hispana, sino yo también admiro la forma en que cada hispano ha podido luchar para una vida mejor. Muchas veces, jamás en mi vida, yo nunca en mi vida he visto a un hispano en la esquina de una tienda pidiendo dinero, porque somos luchadores. Hasta cuando yo fui a New York, ninguna vez miré a un hispano en las calles pidiendo dinero. Yo sinceramente admiro a los hispanos porque aunque no saben el lenguaje, aunque no se pueden defender, sí pueden seguir adelante.
¿Alguna vez ha experimentado discriminación en los Estados Unidos?
Realmente no. Y eso es un buen privilegio porque como nací aquí, pude aprender inglés. Pero sí he mirado diferentes escenarios o ocasiones, por ejemplo, en Walmart.
Mhm.
A veces las personas que trabajan ahí se desesperan y no son pacientes suficientes para um, explicar a las personas hispanas qué está pasando. Entonces les empiezan a gritar y les dicen que ¿por qué estás en este país si no sabes el lenguaje? Y una vez estaba entrando a Walmart y miré a una señora hispana llorando. Y me di cuenta que una señora que no es hispana, pero obviamente de este país, le estaba gritando, tratando de decirle este, que ella no tenía el suficiente dinero para llevarse sus compras. Entonces me acerqué a la señora y le dije que qué era el problema, que si necesitaba ayuda, que si sabía que estaba pasando y él estaba llorando porque no entendía y la señora le estaba gritando. Entonces, um, no, le traté de ayudar a explicarle qué pasó, pero también cuando en mi trabajo, cuando llegan hispanos que no saben inglés, mi forma es de poder tratar de ayudarles a llenar sus papeles um, que tienen que llenar antes de ser vistos por el doctor.
Oh, sí. En generalmente, ¿prefieres hablar en español o inglés?
Me he acostumbrado más al inglés, pero también sé español, so inglés.
Well, in that same vein, that was a good first portion of the interview, and now the second portion will be conducted in English for this bilingual interview. I think it was you were bringing up a lot of like interesting points about what it means to be Latino in the United States. Because like we both grew up in Moultrie, Georgia, and I do think probably we had maybe different cultural experiences due to that. And I was just wondering your opinion on things like you mentioned discrimination based on the fact that many Latinos maybe don't know, especially older ones, generally don't know English or can't speak fluent English. Do you feel like there should be more like immersion programs in the United States for immigrants to like have an opportunity to learn English rather than just more or less just kind of letting them do their own thing, like undocumented immigrants and whatnot.
Um, you're asking like if there should be rooms to like teach them English, kind of.
Yes, because in my opinion, I feel like the not speaking English part is kind of I feel like that's discrimination against Latinos because I feel like many people where I'm from in the rural South, they kind of want to keep that like cheap labor. And the easiest way to do that is to, keep people uneducated and not knowing the native language and, the laws and how to sign papers, how to read papers, and that kind of thing. So do you think there should be like more like, an attempt by the government to do
Yeah.
more like immersion programs and stuff?
I definitely think that would be a very good idea. That would actually make the community, not only the community safer, but the person in general. I
Yep.
think that, like you said, if they need the laws, um, if they need the language, it'd be a total different life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I just kind of thought it was very unfair how, um, like that scene I saw at Walmart. The lady, she was very conscious that she doesn't know English, and it's like trying to talk to the wall, obviously,
Oh yeah.
because the lady wasn't gonna understand. So she was just frustrating her own self. Really, I think that that would be a very good idea. It would be very um you know it'd be very productive.
Oh yes.
You know, so
Because like in light of I guess it's not really recent anymore, but in light of the whole 2016 election and Donald Trump and all this, me personally, I've seen a lot of people who kind of have this attitude that like um, Latinos who are in the United States, like they just don't want to learn English. But I think it's kind of the opposite. I think many of them really do want to, learn English because that's kind of the language you need to succeed in the United States. It's just a matter of like they don't have, the time or the resources to learn the language because, they're just kind of caught up in, like these like menial labor, you know, it doesn't
Yeah,
teach them the native language. Yeah.
yeah. I definitely think that like the ones, that one percentage that doesn't want to or that
Mm-hmm.
would disagree, it'd be more because like, their like pride, it runs a lot in Hispanics,
Mm-hmm.
and um we're more of like, if I have this, it's because of myself,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
We're more of like a, independent culture. Yes, we're united and we work hard together as a team, but we also like to get credit for like, our our own. And maybe like, that percentage wouldn't want to be like, oh well, I learned English because of this program, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, definitely. And when I was interviewing you, I brought up the whole like religion thing because I feel like I mean, growing up like in the South, being kind of like raised in like like an evangelical like Baptist type churches, there's this kind of attitude that like most Latinos are Catholics and like there's kind of this weird like I wouldn't call it resentment, but like sort of like a skepticism of like the Catholic Church, like I know
mm-hmm.
there's some people that don't think like that are Christians that think that Catholics aren't going to heaven and that sort of thing. And I thought that's kind of been part of what drove kind of like a cultural divide between the two groups. Um, I mean, do you think that like religion has any kind of like play in it?
Oh, it definitely does. I've had, well, my grandma, she was telling me the other day that she just came from Mexico to visit, and she was telling me about how like um all her neighbors are Catholic,
Yeah.
and my grandma, she recently converted Christian. The last time she came about 6 years ago. So, she told me about how the Catholics don't, they just don't talk to her at all, don't even acknowledge her, don't even say hey, because she's Christian. And um, I don't think that um, people should discriminate each other for their religion.
Hmm.
People should just tolerate each other and love each other, and because I think that that's really what Christianity should be, love others
Hmm.
regardless of what who they are and what they believe. Um I think that um Christians and Catholics do act a total different way. Um like in the Hispanic culture, Christians are more like, we do not, or at least try not to,
Yeah.
and Catholic heard the Catholic um religion, like the Catholic Bible is actually than the Christian one. There are like some stronger, harsh words in the Catholic one,
Hmm.
and because my mom told me about this, and she said that even though she felt like even though there were some more harsh words in the Bible, like they didn't even like obey
Yeah.
to the Bible, like. And a lot of what I've noticed is like Catholic people, it's more like, I can still do the worldly pleasures as long as I believe in God, I'm good to go to heaven.
Hmm.
Versus, and they also have like, um their main like statue, the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
They, she's more, I feel like she takes more um more of the attention than God. And Christians, like, we're more of like, by my fruits or by my actions, people are going to know who I am. You know, by the way I treat others or by the way I carry my daily life. Um, there is a big difference between Catholics and Christians because Catholics, like, they are like, you know, they like, for example, I'm no one to judge, but like my uncles, they're Catholics, and my dad, he's Christian, and my uncles, they drink all the time, and they think that like there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And when clearly in the um oh, not only do they do that, but like um I know this is kind of like personal, but they cheat on their wives a lot too. When clearly in their Bible or in any Bible, last time I heard or last time I've, seen or witnessed, it
Mm-hmm.
says to not covet or desire what your partner has. So obviously, if you already cheated on somebody, or that person, I mean, you already desired them and you or even had them,
Yeah.
so they're more like, we break the commandments and we're okay, we still go to heaven. But Christians are more like, no, we gotta, obey what God wants us to do and live the best life we can do.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I like that you mentioned that. I think that kind of relates back to something I was going to ask you about, which is like people oftentimes talk about like cultural differences between Latinos and Americans and what they kind of experience, like this culture shock when they're in the United States. And I think one of the things that I've heard is like you know what I mean when I say like the machismo culture of like Latino culture, like what it means to be a man and like like manliness and like that kind of thing, as opposed to like the United States. And you mentioned that your boyfriend is American. Like, is there like have you dated like guys from like Latino culture? Is there like different like do they kind of view like relationships in maybe like a slightly different way, or like the roles that men and women have maybe in different ways and that sort of thing?
um like life in general for a Hispanic, like you said, like, the Hispanic culture is always more like a manly, men are like manly, and like what I say is what you're gonna do. So
Hmm.
um Hispanics are more, if you ever notice, like, Hispanics Hispanic men are, well, at least in my parents' generation, they were raised to where um the men, we still see that, like, that part, that time frame of life, or of the times when the man would go work and the women would stay.
Hmm. Yeah.
So um you see a lot of stay at home moms in the Hispanic culture than the white culture, or I'm sorry, the
There you
American culture.
go.
For example, my dad, he always told my mom, "You're gonna be a mom, and you're gonna raise our kids, and you're gonna take care of them." So
Hmm.
it was more of like, she didn't really have a choice, versus my boyfriend, his mom and dad, they both work.
Yeah.
So um so men in the Hispanic culture are, hold on, I have to like connect my phone, it's on 1%, but
Yeah.
men
You're good.
in the Hispanic culture are more like, we're going to I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna pay these bills at home. And the white culture is more like, um oh, here's my charger. They're more like, we're both going to work and we're both going to pay bills.
Yeah.
So, um,
Cool. That was a nice.
also,
What's up?
go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know. If you wanted to like finish up, that's good.
Also, I've noticed that for example, like my boyfriend,
Mhm.
he he something that him and my dad have in common is like they both like to help. You know, like that's a slight thing that varies. Like it doesn't really have anything to do with like culture
Yeah.
because my dad, like he's the kind of guy or man that helps my mom in a lot of things. And my boyfriend's the same way. Like, you know, like if I need help with something, like he'll do it or um like, you know.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not like the culture or it's more of like the heart or
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
they're raised.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And I think that's kind of the core of it, because I feel like people are raised differently, but I don't really feel like there's really that huge of a difference between different races or groups or nations or whatever. I just feel like a lot of it's just that person's heart as opposed to like you know physical traits or whatever. So yeah, I'm glad we had this conversation. I think that was a really good interview and it's going to give a lot of insight onto culture and what it means to be Latino in the United States. So thank you for having me, Yasmin.
Thank you for considering to do your interview.
No problem. All right. Well, see you later.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.